Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. How y'all doing today? Boxing or a spectacle? Big fight coming on tonight. I will be live for Jerron Ennis and Xander Zayas. So I'm going to do that tonight. There ain't no telling how long that live is going to be, but I got to run some errands. When I come back, I'm going to go live, and I'm going to stay live until the event concludes. So I'll probably be live straight through 11, 12 o'clock. But when it comes to Claressa Shields, trying to understand the entertainment piece and the evolution of women's boxing, is that what's happening? Now, I'll tell you what, the conversation, since Claressa has announced her August 15th fight, the conversation has changed. And one of the most interesting developments in boxing today is that discussion surrounding Big Vote and that upcoming event. And it goes far beyond the championship fight itself. You know what I'm saying? Her and Kay Scott, which a lot of us are sitting here just feeling that, Kay Scott was cherry-picked and Kay Scott's going to get destroyed. Now, in addition to all that, instead of fans debating strategy, styles, footwork, championship implications, legacy, like they would have been debating had, Shadesha Green not got injured and was going to be fighting Claressa, the conversation would be surrounded, kind of evolving more around that. But many discussions have shifted more towards just the event's overall entertainment value because of Zeus being involved, baddies being on the card, and then Ray J and Orlando Brown, which is just, totally left field and shit. But supporters do view this as innovative promotion, thinking outside the box, non-traditional. Then the critics view it as an indication that boxing is borrowing increasingly from celebrity culture and reality television. And this could be the direction that women's boxing in particular goes, and there'll be other women who go that route as well. Now, we got to wait and see if that's the case, but you just never know. So whether one sees this as progress or a misstep depends largely on what they believe boxing should be. So this larger debate touches on marketing, psychology, sports history, business, public image, and the evolution of combat sports involving women. Now, boxing has always been entertainment. It's what it's all about. People want to be entertained. They want to see a good fight, but they want to be entertained. But there's traditionally been a balance. You know what I'm saying? Professional boxing has never existed solely as a sport. Throughout history, it has combined athletic competition, storytelling, rivalries, personalities, promotion. Great promoters understood that fans rarely buy tickets simply because two highly skilled fighters are competing. They do, but rarely. People become emotionally invested. Muhammad Ali understood promotion. Mike Tyson created fascination. Oscar De La Hoya became a crossover celebrity. Floyd Mayweather built an entire career around being the villain, but he was likable. But even then, however, the fights themselves remained the centerpiece. The promotion generated interest. The boxing delivered the payoff. Today's question is whether that balance is changing. Now, social media has changed what sells. And that's why whenever I'm live, I always say, look, man, I'm from the old school. I don't be on the internet like that. But I also recognize and also say, I can't be so aggressive in my criticism with these younger people because I ain't from that era, just like they're not from mine. So there's a huge disconnect. But I do recognize that social media has changed what sells. 20 years ago, promoters relied on HBO, Showtime, ESPN, newspapers, magazines. Today's attention economy is different, very different. There's this thing called an algorithm, and the algorithm rewards conflict, Claressa Shields and Zeus, controversy, Claressa Shields and Zeus, outrage, Claressa Shields and Zeus, celebrity memes, short viral clips, Claressa Shields and Zeus. So that's what's been selling. And Claressa has got the attention, and we're going to find out if the attention is going to equate to currency, because it has for Zeus Network and the different shows they've had on. They've made a lot of money. And Claressa and her team, in my opinion, their belief is if we take her this route, we can make money hand over fist. And you see, this changes incentives when someone goes this route. So instead of asking who's the best boxer, the internet, who's really locked into Claressa Shields, it's more like who's everybody talking about today? Now, those are not always the same person. Many observers believe modern promotion increasingly rewards visibility over sporting achievement. So whether that trend is beneficial or harmful remains a subject of debate. But one thing is for sure, the person everyone's been talking about for a long time now is Claressa Shields. It's been the same person. So is her increased visibility going to result in huge financial reward? I don't know. But we have yet to see, because I always say, name one celebratory moment. Nobody can name that. Maybe this event is going to be it. Maybe she makes money hand over fist. They're not fighting on the zone. They're fighting on the Zeus Network. Maybe there's a huge portion of money that comes back into their pockets now since they're not on the zone. So we don't know. But this could be a huge win. But I'd say my concern is the violence, but we'll get to that. Now, traditional boxing fans. Traditional boxing fans have often set, I would say they've often set like a different set of priorities. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want bullshit. They appreciate championship significance. Claressa Shields. They're trying to push that narrative because she's fighting at 160 against a unified champion. But there's a championship, there's belts on the line, but is it championship significance? It's a matter of opinion. I say no. But the traditional boxing fans appreciate elite matchmaking, technical skill, historical legacy, merit-based rankings. This isn't what we're getting with Claressa fighting Keith Scott. Now, many of these fans worry that when celebrity attractions dominate promotional discussions, the sport itself risks becoming secondary. That's why we're having Tasiki and Big Lex and Ray J and Orlando Brown on the card. Everybody's like, all right, the celebrity is dominating the event. It isn't about Claressa Shields, it's about the celebrity attractions. So boxing has become secondary, and the celebrity bullshit's become primary. So from this viewpoint, every minute spent discussing celebrity participants is a minute not spent discussing the championship contest. And that is very, very true. Now, others counter that entertainment, as far as those elements, can attract new viewers who may later become lifelong boxing fans. But to that I say, in the most respectful way, to hold your horses and stop taking it to the goddamn stupid. I don't see it that way. You'd never know, but I don't see it that way. That's why I'm trying to understand the business perspective. Now, from that business perspective, visibility has measurable value. You can measure that shit. Promoters evaluate questions like, will more people buy tickets? Now you're talking about the celebrity attraction? Maybe. Will more people subscribe to the broadcast? It's going to be on Zeus Network. They probably will have a lot of people tuning in. Will sponsors receive greater exposure? I don't know who's sponsoring this shit. I don't know who's putting money on the line for this event, but there may be. I don't know. Will social media engagement increase? Yes, it already has. You see, celebrity appearances often broaden the audience beyond dedicated boxing fans. For business, expanding the customer base can be a rational strategy. The challenge lies in ensuring that the event still reflects the quality expected of championship boxing. I personally feel after that co-main happens, Tasiki and Big Lex, half the crowd's going to leave. That's just me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just don't think they're going to hang around and watch Claressa Shields fight Keith Scott. Some will, but I just think, and maybe 25% will leave. But if they got, a bunch of celebrities there and they've got the music and this and that, everybody may stay, but they're staying more for the party, for the event, for the entertainment. And that's a win. But in Claressa's mind, she's going to say, everybody, all of this for me? Wow, man, please. Holy moly. Hmm. That's what she gonna say. Now, casual sports fans. Many casual viewers are not deeply invested in rankings or sanctioning bodies. So the Zeus Network shit works because they just want to see a fight and see some drama and hear about these celebrities and see what's going on. You know? That's why they tune in. They recognize entertainers, influencers, musicians, reality television personalities, crossover athletes. You know what I'm saying? If those viewers stay to watch the championship fights, promoters may view the crossover element as a success, and I would too. The long-term question isn't whether these new viewers become fans of boxing itself or if they're just there for the spectacle. Now, the psychology of attention. See, this is what I like to try to understand. How some of these people's brains work. Now, psychologists have long studied why conflict captures public attention. Everybody wants to be around the drama. Even if a joke, someone give you a knock-knock joke. Knock-knock, who's there? Me, Merry who? Merry Christmas. Nobody laughs. But you give them a knock-knock joke with some crazy shit. Knock-knock, who's there? Fuck who? Fuck you. You know, that everybody, they laugh and want to hear that. They like the shock value of things. And that could be what it is with this event. You got to think shock value. You know what I'm saying? What captures public attention? Conflict creates uncertainty. And you just don't know. You already seen some conflict with Claressa Shields and with Papoose, and been conflict with the Zeus Network. So that creates a whole lot of uncertainty. Now, when I think of that, I think that I don't need to be nowhere near that bullshit because this is just being real. You're gonna have some diehard boxing fans who normally would have gone and not going now because they're like, whoa, you got all this conflict that's been taking place. Why would I go into this environment where we know there's an increased risk of conflict, and conflict creates uncertainty. Now, uncertainty for some people has them like, I ain't going nowhere near it, but for others, it creates curiosity. So when people become curious, they want to get close to it. You know what I mean? You ever see a dumbass adult? There'll be a rattlesnake out there in the middle of the street. They're curious. They go out there, uncertain. But they're curious. They want to go see what happened. Either they can successfully capture the rattlesnake, or it bites their ass. Because that curiosity increases engagement. It forces them to go and engage this damn rattlesnake. Like it's going to force some fans to go out here and engage with this Claressa Shields, Demetrius Salita Win Records, Zeus Network event. Curiosity increases engagement. So when you think about that, the conflict to uncertainty, uncertainty to curiosity, curiosity to engagement, this dynamic explains why rivalries often dominate headlines. And some public figures intentionally embrace controversial personas because they believe attention, positive or negative, keeps them irrelevant. And this is what has happened with Claressa Shields. And she has definitely gone the negative route. The difficulty is that sustained controversy can eventually overshadow the original reason the public became interested. And that's what's happened to Claressa Shields, you know what I mean? You hear people call in and talking about it. I was watching Claressa for this. I was motivated by her for this, inspired by this. But now, it's too much drama. So it happens. And I think for her and other athletes, this creates an important balance between maintaining visibility and preserving a reputation for professionalism, which for Claressa, that shit is out the window. But she doesn't seem to care. Because as far as her public image and brand management, I just don't think that's a priority. I think it's just having attention and trying to make the most money possible is all they care about. They're not thinking long term after boxing and going into other business ventures. They're just looking at what they got in front of them today and picking low hanging fruit. But I will say this when it comes to public image and brand management, elite athletes today, they need to understand they're not only competitors, they're also brands. I had to drink that Hood Champion coffee. Sponsors, broadcasters, and business partners often consider the reliability of a person, the public perception, the professionalism, the consistency. I can tell you Claressa and her team show up late places. I can just look at them and tell you that. I can just look and tell you. They all look like they show up fucking late, fashionably late, and they don't give a fuck. So people can't take them serious. I can look at you, look at them and tell you, say, "Hood champion, how you can do it? Just trust me." I can look at them and tell them those motherfuckers show up late. I know, and I ain't gonna get into all that. But I have a whole lot of experience in fucking dealing with people. And I'm telling you, I can look at them, tell them all those motherfuckers show up late. Only one who may show up on time is Dimitri Salita. The rest of them will show up fashionably late. As far as being professional and all that, look, I'll just tell you, business partners, broadcasters, and sponsors, they think about this. But a compelling personality can enhance a brand. But repeated controversy, however, may create additional consideration for organizations who are here evaluating partnerships, and that's why it seems like Claressa and her team had to go somewhere where they embraced the controversy and drama. That's Zeus Network. Instead of going the traditional route, Claressa would never have no deal with no big Nike, big brand. That shit ain't ever last. She ain't gonna have no deal. That shit ain't never gonna happen. Not nothing long term. Nothing. I don't think ever. And she can blame who she wants, but she need to look at herself and take some accountability. But I'll say this: public perception is shaped over time by both athletic achievement and public conduct, and that's just the truth. Now, women's boxing and its broader legacy. Look, man, there's a lot of women in boxing that don't like what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Claressa is pretty much the face of women's boxing. Alicia Baumgartner, look, I thought she was going to be heading that direction. She's not. She's not. She got a long way to go, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because she got, look, I like Alicia, but she got some shit just like Claressa. The thing is, she don't have the attention and she don't have the noise around her like Claressa does. But she talks shit too. She got a potty mouth. She got a bad attitude too. She does, man. So her and Claressa mouthwise ain't no different. Ain't no difference. But she has a quality about her that makes her likable. You know what I'm saying? But she got some villainous ways about her ass too. That's just being real. But the thing is this: when it comes to women's boxing, Alicia isn't in your face every day with the bullshit, bringing down women's boxing. Just when she does a live, she's comfortable. And you'll see she'll do some where she's not using the profanity and everything. Others where she's comfortable being herself, lets her hair down, and she lets them goddamn words fly. But she's not bringing down women's boxing. Claressa has brought women's boxing down, in my opinion. Women's boxing has experienced, remarkable growth over the past several decades. And there's a lot of women that have a lot to do with that. You know what I mean? And Claressa had something to do with it. Baumgartner did. And of course, the Pioneers and Taylor Serrano, Cameron. There's a lot of them. But I'm just saying that progress reflects the efforts of numerous athletes who demonstrated that women's championship boxing could deliver elite competition and memorable events. Today's generation benefits from that foundation. Because of that progress, many fans are particularly sensitive to discussions about how women's boxing is presented to the broader public. Some women welcome experimentation. Others worry about preserving the sport's competitive identity. And they ain't feeling this shit that Claressa's doing with Zeus Network and the acting the fool and cussing and carrying on and talking about whipping people's ass and how she a shooter and she's a killer and all this. Like they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They're like the women's sports and the competitive identity and what so many and put that blood, sweat, and tears in to get the sport to this point. Claressa has just reset them and put them back to ground zero. Now, I'll tell you this. The event, there's a lot of people worried about violence. People worried about the safety. And that's why it makes me wonder with Zeus, what are they going to do about event security? You're going to have a lot of people there. And when you have an event involving celebrities, athletes, entertainers, high-profile personalities, requires careful planning, being very serious, understanding, crowd management, entry points, emergency procedures, separation of conflicting parties when necessary, coordination with venue staff and local authorities. But when you think about that, it makes me think about Hollywood and A-listers and all those guys and gals used to come to the boxing events. It was a different energy back then. It didn't involve a network like a Zeus and a bunch of conflict and drama. But I wonder, and they had security measures in place then, but I think with this event that's going to take place on August 15th, this spectacle, I think they're going to require way more security and security measures than ever. And I don't know if these people are thinking along those lines because this is normal to them. But I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if someone got shot, if someone got killed. I'm telling you, we've been talking about it for months. I think August 15th, somebody gets killed at the event. You may say, come on, Hood. No, I'm serious. I think someone's going to get shot. It's going that direction. It's going that direction with the energy. So I think somebody gets shot, whether it's in the parking lot, at the gas station. It's all going to be part of that weekend and all associated with the amount of people in town and just the activities and drama and bullshit. And now you're saying, nah, Hood, I don't see it. Why not? You think people are going to be smoking weed? It's probably smoking crack. Think they're going to be doing lines, getting high? Think somebody going to be, alcohol going to be involved? Now mix that up with conflict, controversy, and drama and bad fucking attitudes. What good have you seen ever come out of that mix? I'm just being real. And some fans have expressed concerns about safety whenever high profile personalities are involved. They're like, there's got to be responsible planning. You've got to reduce risk rather than assume that incidents, are not gonna occur. No, you gotta assume worst case scenario. That's what I'd be doing. So I think at the end of the day, there's a broader conversation and it extends beyond one event or one athlete. It asks larger questions. How should boxing evolve? How much entertainment is beneficial with the Zeus network, these Ray J's and these social media influencers and this hybrid approach of taking traditional boxing and non-traditional and bring it together to create a spectacle. And when does the promotion overshadow the competition? Because that's what's happened here. The promotions overshadow the competition. You take a look at Zeus Network and how many people have liked the flyers and shit. Ray J and these other guys, how many people are liking their announcements? Look at Claressa's page, barely anybody. So that lets you know that the promotion itself has already overshadowed Claressa Shields, who's the competition. They ain't thinking about her. They're thinking about this bullshit, drama, and entertainment and craziness. But who knows, man? Crossover events, can they expand audiences? Maybe. But can it preserve sporting credibility? I don't know about that. But these questions are increasingly relevant across combat sports, and Claressa Shields in this event with win records in Zeus. Can this crossover event expand the audience and preserve sporting credibility at the same time? Preserve sporting credibility. I don't know about that, but we're going to get to find out, right? But at the end of the day, Big Guo remains one of the most accomplished women boxers of her generation. She got the achievements in the ring. She will tell you about it. The debate surrounding her upcoming events, they reflect broader questions about the future direction of boxing promotion. Some view the blend of championship boxing and entertainment as innovative and commercially necessary. Others worry that boxing competitive identity should remain at the forefront. But ultimately, the success of this approach will likely be judged not only by ticket sales or online engagement, but also by whether the sport continues to earn respect for the quality of competition inside the ring. And in addition to that, if you're going to see more fighters go to this hybrid approach of traditional boxing and non-traditional boxing and bring them together to create this spectacle, this entertainment. If Claressa and her team hit a grand slam and hit a home run, I am telling you there are other people who are going to follow this blueprint because everybody's all about money. It's all about money. But if somebody gets shot and killed, nobody following that shit. This will be the last time you see that kind of event. And win records and all, they'll be the fuck up out of boxing. They'll be done. Some shit happened. Even Demetrius Salia done. So I hope they got the right security measures in place because they can't afford to fuck this up. And that's just being real. Y'all keep cool, man. Boxing is spectacle. The future of women's boxing. Shit's crazy, ain't it? Y'all, I'm in the breeze.